So today you're going to see how to take a brief and then turn it into a functional and efficient graphic design. Or at least that's the plan anyway. So let's do this. There are loads and loads of different mock brief websites out there, but today I'm going to use this one here, which is Good Brief. Now you just simply select the kind of design that you want to create and then also your niche sector. I find the details that are given here are sometimes a bit too random, and so I would suggest that you go in and edit some of the words and the descriptions. This one here looks like it would do the job, and a brief for a fictitious brand called Jumping Bravo. But yeah, I will reword this one a little bit, but just to give you the quick rundown if you don't want to read this entire brief. Basically, I need to design a billboard promoting a business that makes bespoke and fashionable clothing worn in the workplace by females. This brand also offers a next day delivery service, which is going to be very important to my design, as you will see later in today's video. But ask yourself this question: what are some things that we want to consider when starting a graphic design project? What's some of the first things that come to your mind? Well, one of the most important things is that we need to target the right people with our design. And to do that, we need to look deeper into the brief and then develop research from that point onwards. The target markets are the exact kind of people you are tailoring your design for. So at this point, I'm going to step into Milanote for my next step in this project, and that's a free program that you can use yourself right now. In fact, it's a freemium because there are also paid plans too. So I've compiled different sections for my research and development stages right here, with some tasks and steps in the bottom left and other useful components scattered around the board. So if you move into the basic mood board, here I wanted to get an idea for the project with imagery and other kinds of assets. This will be developed further, but you can see the brand specifications for the color black, and I wanted to go for a more charcoal kind of black than the jet black standard. And the accent color I think would work well on this design is pink for obvious reasons, but more about that later. And then some imagery here of the kind of person the target market is likely to be. They are young professionals who dress smartly at work and take appearance as something very important in the workplace, and also they are female. Then I also decided to drop in some serif fonts that I feel were going to work for this project, but the key question is, how did I come up with these conclusions? If we step back out onto the main board, you can see I have 3 boxes that contain keywords. The first box has words or ideas based around the target market, and I've compiled these from the research and also the brief. The second box has words that relate back to the brand itself, and these are very important because you want to relate the design back to the client's brand image. And then lastly, some words on the brief, or moreover, the main aspects of the brief that you need to adhere to. Again, this can be all expanded on and developed further, which I am going to do. So shape psychology plays a huge role in my personal design workflow because I feel it's highly underrated by many designers and it does work and function considerably well. A billboard is very specific in terms of layout simply because they are so wide. That means that we need to consider the layout of our design assets in a clever and a careful way. Taking into account all that information, I have been thinking that horizontal straight lines will be great for my design. You might be asking yourself, why horizontal straight lines? Well, with horizontal straight lines, we have things evoked such as calmness, tranquility, community, trust, composure, and a sense of dynamic movement. Horizontal straight lines are quite feminine, which does help with my brief and target market. The fact that the brief talks about a delivery service that is fast, I do think that horizontal straight lines are a good way to evoke this kind of movement and fast service. I'm not going to go overboard with the lines, however, I just want to keep things minimal yet striking. Taking a look at relevant billboards, we can see how there is often a model figure as a focal point, and then a secondary content balanced on the left or maybe the right. This is actually what I had in mind anyway, but researching it does reaffirm to myself that it's a good choice and a good layout for my design. I'm going to go with the model on the left and then the textual content on the right, and I feel this makes sense as the model on the left will be the main focal point, which will then lead people over to the right, which is the natural progression of most people's eyes on a design. And I do have a plan for using lines to help with this as well, which you're soon going to see. Here's a quick tip to save your printer and also your computer from potentially dying. So if the billboard you are designing is 10 meters by 5 meters, that is 1000 centimeters by 500 centimeters. Now this document is huge, but a workaround that you can make use of is that we can make our artboard 10 times smaller, so 100 centimeters by 50 centimeters, and the resolution can be set to something like 200 ppi. Now this is fine because when you send the artwork to the printer, you will say to them that the design is a scale of 1/10 of the size. So when they blow up your design, the end result will be 20 ppi, which is completely fine for billboards. They are seen by people from faraway distances, and some billboards are even printed out at 10 ppi. This will save your computer from crashing, and it will mean the file document isn't too large. And I hope it makes sense. But anyway, moving on, let's get our model and use the magic wand tool or the select object function to grab the image on our design. Now as you can see, I have the brand guidelines of using black as the main color in the color scheme, and we're positioning the model on the left as I mentioned earlier, and that reasoning will soon make a lot of sense. Now you're going to notice that I have this white bar below, and this is for two reasons. Firstly, it gives her stance some context. If the background was totally black, it doesn't look right, in my opinion. But also the white line does play into that horizontal line theory and that concept. For the next horizontal line, I'm going to inject some of that pinky red color right across the entire design. Now this is going to attract attention, and it does play into that shape psychology that I spoke about, and it leads the viewer's eye and will tie everything together. It's a pretty multifunctional line, I must say. Now I want to adjust the blend mode so we can still see the parts of the model below it, and the blend mode lighten seems to be a good choice here. Now we need that textual content over on the right, and for this, a serif solution, I'm going to use Stix General. I was also toying with Crimson or even Chaparro, but this is just fine. And I do like this stacked approach with the typography, with the line running through Bravo, because it does create some emphasis and contrast. But yeah, it's important that the size of this section is correct so it's readable, but then also so it doesn't overpower the left-hand side focal point. We want a kind of happy medium of size. So yeah, that looks about right, but next up we're going to duplicate the text down and then create some secondary typography with a complementary sans serif font, and I'm going to pick something like Elron, of course. Again, sizing is important. We don't want to compete with the top set typography. Hierarchy is crucial to get right on a design. So yeah, smaller, thinner, and also laid out neatly, of course. I've lowered the intensity of the pink colour because I did think it was a bit too jarring. But moving on, there is one last bit of typography that's going to direct people to a website, and I want this within its own enclosure to make sure it's a different style from the rest of the typography. This could be shown in a different colour, but I wanted things to be simple and minimal, and I think keeping it in black and white will do just fine. A lot of the design workflow here is just trial and error and experimenting with different sizes, colours, and just seeing what works best and what doesn't work at all. These small adjustments are subjective, but it's important to stay on brief and to always relate back to research that we've conducted. The final design is simple, it is minimal, it does relate back to the brief. When talking about billboards, we need to keep things simple because people are often to be driving past these designs and they have a few seconds to glance at them. So all of the information needs to seep into their consciousness with a snap of a finger, and of course they need to stand out in some way, shape or form. But yeah, I hope you've taken away something from this video that you do need to think about the target market and the brief, and also the brand of course. So yeah, sponsoring today's video is Milanote, a tool that I've been using literally for years at this point. Milanote is great for creating mood boards, task lists, client profiles and briefs, and just generating those killer ideas for your client projects. You can collaborate with different designers or people on your team all on one project board. And now, instead of typing out labels, you can choose to annotate with this markup feature, which is quick and easy to use. When generating ideas, we need inspiration and relevant media to generate good concepts. The new card feature now offers a wider scope for things that you can bring onto your boards. And I personally find it really helpful to be able to drop specific colors into my boards with this card drop feature. You can organize your projects with Milanote totally for free and with no time limit attached. simply click the link in the description box below and head over to Milanote and find out how your work can truly excel with a little bit of organization. If you want to see more graphic design content, do click the video on screen, and until next time guys, design your future today. Peace.